royal family mired in one of its biggest crises in history.
Prince Harry, Meghan Markle and their children could be set to lose their royal titles and when Prince William becomes monarch.
Prince William now winning this huge battle with his father King Charles for there to be an Act of Parliament introduced at Westminster to jettison not just Prince Andrew, Beatrice and Eugenie, but also Prince Harry, Meghan Markle, Archie and Lily once and for all.
The palace has just made its most daring move yet, and Prince Harry might be running out of time.
But if you thought the Prince Andrew scandal was the end of the changes that are coming under King William V, let me tell you, you are wrong.
Overnight reports from London reveal that top royal officials have started official talks to remove Prince Harry's royal titles, a shocking step no monarch has dared to take against their own blood in over a century.
King Charles and Prince William still believe Meghan Markle is a bigger threat to the royal family than Prince Andrew.
But here's the shocking twist. Instead of staying quiet or denying everything, Harry is already on a plane, rushing back to the United Kingdom in what insiders describe as a desperate personal intervention. He's not returning for ceremony. He's coming to stop something big.
My sources say there is a growing feeling within Buckingham Palace that Prince William is winning the argument and that Charles may have to take a political stance on that matter.
For months, quiet whispers of a royal crackdown have echoed through Buckingham Palace, but those whispers turned into real action the moment William stepped in to handle his father's duties during King Charles's cancer treatment. Behind those heavily guarded gates, a silent power shift is taking shape, one that could completely change what royalty truly means. And now, standing right in the middle of it all, is a son fighting to protect the titles that define his family's legacy, even as he's branded by the very institution he once called home.
William knows that it is unpalatable for the British monarchy to keep this disastrous couple in the mix when it comes to Andrew and Fergie, but also to have Harry and Meghan constantly dragging down the brand. Both couples are an issue.
Yeah, I feel very strongly that Harry and Meghan should be cut out.
Why now? Who's really pulling the strings behind this shocking royal move, the ailing king, the strategic heir, or the powerful royal machine itself? Because if these reports are true, the monarchy isn't just dealing with scandal, it's staring down a civil war of blood and crown. Harry's urgent flight to London might be his final chance to stop it all. London, 2025. The air around Buckingham Palace feels heavier than ever, not from ceremony, but from an uneasy silence.
This is so ridiculous, and what O'Brien said about him being a military hero is as ridiculous as when Harry got that award for being a hero of flight. I just about fell off my chair when I heard that, a hero of flight.
King Charles, still fighting a relentless illness, has quietly stepped back from the daily machinery of the crown, and in his place, Prince William has risen, cautious, deliberate, and fiercely protective of the monarchy he's sworn to defend. Within this shifting royal battlefield, one name has resurfaced once again, Harry, the self-exiled prince whose public crusade for freedom has turned into the family's biggest liability. Once celebrated as the brave soldier prince, he now stands as a man without an army, except one made of cameras and contracts.
William knows that it's not just Andrew and Sarah and Beatrice and Eugenie which need to be dealt with. It's Harry, Meghan, Archie and Lily too. And he wants his father to be tougher. I think that has to happen. I really, really do.
Every Netflix special, every explosive interview, every sly accusation has chipped away at the dignity the crown struggles to maintain. And beside him stands Meghan, a woman who traded palace halls for production deals and royal duty for polished self-branding. Her rumored plans for a luxury cosmetics line inspired by royal elegance haven't gone unnoticed in London's power circles. To the establishment, this isn't seen as entrepreneurship, it's seen as exploitation. Each new venture seems to profit from the very titles they claim to reject. Inside the palace, patience has finally snapped. Senior courtiers now whisper that William sees the Sussexes not as family, but as a brand contaminant, a dangerous liability threatening the monarchy's global image.
It's such a joke, Dan. Here, Harry and Meghan are getting awards for being humanitarians. And humanitarians don't treat family like that. They don't betray their country like that.
Royal aides aren't asking if action will be taken anymore. They're asking when. The timing is no accident. As the king's strength fades, William's power rises, and with it comes a fierce resolve to shield the firm from its loudest rebels. In this new royal order, forgiveness isn't a strategy, it's seen as weakness. And if that's true, then Harry's sudden flight home isn't a gesture of peace, it's a looming reckoning. In the beginning, the tale felt almost like a fairy tale, a prince in love with an American actress, and for a fleeting moment, the monarchy looked modern again. Their wedding became a worldwide event, wrapped in unity, diversity, and a spark of rebellion. Cameras caught smiles, not strategy.
This is nonsense. They hate it. They didn't like the royal family. They left 5-6 years ago now because they hated it all. Okay, go away. The Queen wished them well, but that's not good enough. What they want is to keep on nagging, to keep on making things difficult for anyone who's royal.
The public saw a love story, while the palace prayed for a fresh beginning. But fairy tales don't last long under the harsh glare of reality. By 2020, the Sussexes had packed their bags and walked away from royal life, declaring a daring new mission: independence, no more courtiers, no more hierarchy, no more control.
Actually would go as far to say that Harry is a traitor because he betrayed his country. He betrayed one of the leading institutions of his country, the monarchy. He disgraced the monarchy. He disgraced his family.
Yet freedom soon transformed into a franchise. What started as personal reinvention became a full-blown media empire built on the echoes of palace secrets, a podcast dissecting privilege, a docuseries rewriting royal history. Every private slight became a headline, and every headline turned into profit. The couple who once begged for privacy were now packaging it for the public. And while Harry spoke endlessly about healing, each new interview ripped open the wounds the monarchy was trying so hard to seal. Every revelation turned reconciliation into pure spectacle.
It's absolutely disgusting. They don't deserve to have any attention from the royal family. And the more that they go on and on about it, the harder we must be.
Each accusation tore the curtain wider open, exposing cracks in the royal family's carefully built image. Meanwhile, in London, William watched the story twist, not only against Harry, but against the very institution he's destined to lead. Every headline questioning the crown's compassion or its place in the modern world became fresh fuel for critics and Republican voices abroad. For a while, the palace stayed silent, praying the noise would fade with time, but it didn't. The more the Sussexes spoke, the deeper the monarchy bled. And somewhere between the talk shows, the tell-alls, and the streaming deals, the public stopped wondering why Harry left and started asking what he might destroy next. Because in the end, it wasn't exile that changed him, it was attention. And that, the palace now fears, is the real threat.
William, let me be clear, does not believe his father, the cancer-stricken king, has gone far enough. He thinks Andrew should not even be a prince. He certainly should not be in the United Kingdom. Exile is the only answer. But the problem is that requires an act of parliament. That act of parliament, I am told, William also intends to use to finally jettison the Sussexes.
It began quietly, a few whispers in Parliament, a small line hidden in a Sunday editorial about new legislation that could let royal titles be stripped by vote. At first, it all sounded like distant theory, but soon came the drafts, the secret meetings, and a chilling message that couldn't be ignored. The monarchy was getting ready to clean house. Prince Andrew was the obvious target, but insiders claim William's list didn't stop there. The second name was his brother's. For years, Harry demanded distance from the monarchy, until that very distance began to hurt his image. Suddenly, he was a prince again, but only when the cameras were rolling.
She's an incredibly unpleasant woman. The children don't need anything. They're little kids. They don't even know who their grandfather is, or either grandfathers, actually. And they don't need how to be royal people. So let's leave it. Let them have their own lives.
While William poured himself into royal duty, Harry poured himself into documentaries. And Meghan, ever the strategist, turned every spotlight into a sales opportunity. Her rumored royal-inspired ventures blurred the line between heritage and hustle, leaving critics to call it not ambition, but pure opportunism wrapped in luxury. Behind closed palace doors, advisors began tracking polls, and the results were shocking. The Sussexes' approval ratings had plunged even lower than those of scandal-stained Prince Andrew. That revelation hit harder than any headline, confirming what the palace had long feared. The couple who preached moral high ground had lost the moral crowd. Yet, as backlash grew louder, Harry only dug in deeper, casting himself as both the victim and the hero. The contradiction was impossible to miss, a man demanding respect from the very system he worked so hard to dismantle.
I guess if people really, really loved Meghan, they might be prepared to go to that trouble. But here's the problem. They don't really, really love Meghan, do they? Quite the reverse. So they're not bothering to go to that trouble. And as I predicted...
But here's where things take a strange turn. The palace isn't just reacting anymore, it's preparing. And this time, the focus isn't scandal, it's strategy. Beneath the glittering marble of Buckingham Palace, the monarchy has always operated on one brutal principle: survival. Not sentiment, not forgiveness, just survival. And right now, that instinct belongs to Prince William. As King Charles fights his private battle with illness, William has quietly taken command of the royal machine. His vision is sharp and surgical, a monarchy that's leaner, cleaner, and untouchable by scandal.
Or the British royal family. It's all been about stomping on other people to elevate herself. And so when I read that line, I believe it was from the Daily Mail, about how they weren't going to play second fiddle, and ultimately that's why.
The era of messy tabloid wars and emotional memoirs is coming to an end. To protect the crown, the palace has decided the noise must be cut away completely. And that's where Harry and Meghan stop being family and start becoming examples. Their rebellion, once painted as youthful defiance, now stands as Exhibit A of how royal privilege can rot when mixed with fame. Every public confession, every polished truth has turned royal duty into entertainment. And now William plans to shut down the show. This isn't about revenge, it's brand protection. By stripping titles, William is declaring to the world that the monarchy isn't a circus of chaos, it's an empire of control. The Sussexes broke the rule of silence, and now that silence is coming for them.
Over the last 3 days, I think speaks volumes.
It's true, kids. It's 100% true. And what I always said.
Behind palace walls, aides are quietly calling it the restoration, a silent recalibration of power where the family name no longer comes first, only the survival of the institution itself. Meghan's luxury projects and Harry's televised confessions aren't seen as scandals anymore. They're liabilities on the royal balance sheet. And yet, the irony cuts deep. The very titles Harry once threw away now stand as his last thread of identity. Without them, he's not a prince in exile. He's just another celebrity chasing the spotlight. The monarchy, stripped down to its core, will weather this storm and move on. But for Harry and Meghan, survival now means something far colder, becoming the cautionary tale that keeps everyone else in line.
There are discussions happening, so we want to be the ones that secure this great get. Additionally, they had so much success with the crown at that time.
Because in this new royal order, even bloodlines aren't safe from scrutiny. Across the Atlantic, where Harry and Meghan once dreamed of building their empire of influence, the shine has started to fade. Hollywood, once dazzled by royal glamour, now watches their every move with polite exhaustion. The power couple who once promised raw authenticity have become symbols of performance fatigue, too many confessions, too few convictions. Their Netflix docuseries shattered records, but so did the backlash. Viewers called it indulgent, self-pitying, a luxury grievance show, Every tear seemed practiced, every confession rehearsed again and again. Even sympathetic voices began to grow weary, asking, "How long can you monetize resentment?" In Washington, where the Sussexes once sought political respectability, the invites have dried up. Advocacy groups that once praised their modern monarchy image now keep their distance. The problem isn't their message, it's the mirror reflecting what they've become.
It actually makes some sense to me. It's projection. It's and deflection, and it's sort of Harry taking
Everything they've accused the monarchy of: privilege, image control, exploitation, has now become the backbone of their own brand. And Meghan's latest rebranding move, complete with glossy prototypes for royal-inspired cosmetics, only deepens the contradiction. How can someone reject the system while selling its image in a bottle? To the public, it no longer feels like empowerment, it feels like polished opportunism under perfect lighting. Harry doesn't escape the fallout either. His memoir, once praised as courageous, now reads like a diary of entitlement, a man torn between guilt and greed. Every interview, every tell-all, chips away at the sympathy he once owned.
Are they overcompensating for something? Are they trying to just shut down critics? Is it anxiety?
The once admired soldier prince has become the constant complainer, a man defined not by what he's fought for, but by who he's fighting against. And so, the irony comes full circle. In trying to outrun the shadow of the monarchy, they've built a smaller one of their own, one powered by spotlights instead of crowns. It burns brighter, fades faster, and leaves behind nothing but glare. Because in the end, exile isn't freedom, not when you're still dragging the palace with you. For all the statements, interviews, and perfectly staged photographs, the harshest judgment hasn't come from the palace or from Parliament. It's come from the public. The very audience Harry and Meghan built their empire on has turned away. They were once the faces of change.
Because they are our red carpets where the claw is out.
okay.
They were once the glamorous bridge between royalty and reality, the living promise of a modern, relatable monarchy, untouched by old traditions. But that promise has crumbled under the weight of their own contradictions. Every speech about compassion comes with a luxury deal attached, and every demand for privacy is followed by yet another documentary. In Britain, the sympathy that once protected them has soured into quiet indifference. Street interviews now echo the same weary sentiment: they wanted freedom, they got it, now what? Even their most loyal fans admit exhaustion. There are only so many times the same grievances can be repackaged before they stop sounding like truth and start feeling like a business plan dressed in royal nostalgia.
I fully believe this story. I think that he has had it with her. I think that she has had it with him. I think they both probably blame each other, even though they were equally responsible for the mess that their respective lives are in.
Across social media, the couple's efforts to control their image have spectacularly backfired. The clips meant to inspire have turned into memes, and their grand declarations of independence are now met with quiet laughter. The irony cuts deepest here. The pair who fled royal scrutiny are now trapped in a harsher court. Public opinion. In that court, there are no courtiers to defend them, no palace walls to hide behind, only algorithms and audiences, and both are turning away fast. Harry, once the prince who stood for rebellion with honor, now seems like a man fighting against his own fading relevance. Meghan, once admired for her poise, now feels like a living case study in overexposure.
She is a liar
Yeah.
who lies. And it makes me so angry, Kinsey, because the likes of you or I, and this is why she would never talk to either one of us, likes of you or me, rather.
Together, they've become the architects of their own isolation, living proof that image without authenticity will always collapse under its own spotlight. Because fame might make you known, but credibility makes you last. And theirs, it seems, has quietly slipped away. Maybe this was always bound to happen. Maybe the monarchy's most rebellious son was destined to learn that freedom without restraint is just another kind of cage. Tonight, as the palace tightens its grip, and Harry rushes home to face the future he tried to escape. The story feels less like a royal scandal and more like a warning. The same spotlight that once crowned him has turned forensic, dissecting every motive, every gesture, every word. And Meghan, the actress who once stole the scene, now stands trapped in a role the world no longer believes in.
Are the butt of the jokes. They are not the people actually the world goes to find solutions to problems. They're people who the world is hoping desperately sort of goes away and accepts their level of achievement is basically being glorified influencers. That's Meghan Markle's love.
Perhaps the cruelest twist of all is this: for all their talk of authenticity, the only thing Harry and Meghan ever made truly real was the fallout. Behind the headlines, the streaming deals, and those perfectly lit photo shoots lies one simple truth. Reputation isn't a right, it's a rhythm. And once you lose the beat, the world stops listening. The palace may be preparing to strip their titles, but the public has already taken something far more valuable there. Because power doesn't always end with a crown, sometimes it ends with silence. And maybe that's what makes this moment so haunting. If the royal family can erase its own blood to protect the throne, what else can they erase? What stories were we told and which ones were never meant to surface?